This is 8 Minutes, a podcast helping you understand the energy transition in just a few minutes. I'm your host, Paul Schuster. For all the talk about new technologies such as battery storage, low-carbon cement, AI, smart buildings, electric vehicles, at its heart, the energy transition is not a technology-led effort. It's a customer-led process. What do I mean by that? I mean that we've been conditioned to think about our energy needs being provided by large utilities or energy companies, regulated and managed as they service their consumers from a place of control. But tomorrow, that customer is going to be very different, exerting their own sense of control. They will own their own generating sources in the form of solar panels. They will be managing their load through smart devices and AI, making their own decisions on when and how to charge electric vehicles or tap into battery storage. Today, I spend a little bit of time on how this shift in perception from utility-led to customer-led is driving the energy transition. 8 minutes. It's how long it takes for the sun's rays to hit Earth, or about how long I can last on a Peloton ride. Hey, this is a judgment-free zone. Let's get it on. The energy transition is one of fascinating technologies being deployed at a global scale that we've frankly never seen before. But at its heart, the energy transition is a customer-led journey, and that's new, exciting, and maybe a little terrifying. Consider that utilities in the United States have long been a regulated monopoly, chartered to deliver safe, reliable, low-cost power in return for monolithic control of the electricity flow in their region. Electricity rates are established by public utility commissions, and decisions are made between the utility and the PUC as to where new investments, capital, technology, assets, where these all go to support the broader community. That's the structure of today's electrical grid, one of top-down control where the consumer has little influence over where they buy power, how much they pay for it, or even what type of power they're purchasing in the first place. An individual in Indiana is still forced to purchase electricity being generated from coal facilities, regardless of their own interest in green power. Or a company in Washington finds itself powering its operations with electricity imported from hydro facilities in Canada, which may be different than what the customer wants if they want support from, say, Made in America power. Our traditional structure isn't very customer-friendly, but that's changing. Step back a bit, and the energy transition is all about customer-led change. Utilities, policymakers, and regulators that miss that point are already losing out on this opportunity. Consider the growth in large commercial and industrial customers, C&I, who've publicly released ambitions to meet net zero or renewable energy goals. According to Net Zero Tracker, 683 of the world's largest 2,000 companies have set public commitments to get to net zero emissions. The RE100, a group that tracks C&I customers committed to 100% renewable energy, they now boast over 380 members representing enough power to run a medium-sized country. And the Science Based Target Initiative, a massive partnership between the UN, the World Wildlife Fund, the World Resources Institute, and the CDP, those members are held to rigorous targets on both scale and speed of reductions, and the SBTI indicates that they have over 4,000 companies working with them to establish measurable, verifiable reduction goals. Corporations are answering the challenge by creating the demand required for change. And the market is responding to this need, but not necessarily through utilities. Companies like Schneider Electric, Level 10, Customer First Renewables, Edison Energy, these are the companies leaning in and providing the products and solutions to help corporates transition. Or consider the innovation around business models, such as energy as a service. In this model, the corporate works with an energy service provider to install energy-efficient equipment and appliances and drive down energy costs. Those new assets are financed through the savings generated by the lower energy costs, so the corporate is able to reduce emissions at the same time as saving money. And organizations such as NG Impact, Alturas, Redaptive, Schneider, again, these are the companies providing the financing and know-how to support those efforts. Or take the myriad of smart device manufacturers like Nest, Span, Itron, Sense, or others who are giving control of energy usage back to the consumer so that they can make real-time decisions on whether to adjust their energy usage at any given time. Maybe based on price signals in the market, or increasingly based on emissions data. And another cohort of companies have arisen to further help those consumers optimize that value. Companies like Voltus, NLX, C-Power. These companies help customers save money through demand response, a process to lower energy usage at peak times when prices are super high. Look, this isn't a utility-driven solution. It's a customer-driven need that the market is responding to with innovation, unleashing new startups and creating opportunity for new business models. Customers have indicated that they want a different product than utilities have traditionally provided. It's no longer about just safe, low-cost, reliable power. Now it needs to be green, controllable, even locally made power that companies are looking for. And that customer-driven sentiment isn't just relegated to large corporates either. Our team conducted research into the small and medium-sized business market last year, and 83% of these businesses responded that they were actively trying to decarbonize their organizations. But less than 40% plan to reach out to their utility for help in doing so. At the residential level, the customer is driving change as well. Residential rooftop solar installations have soared. The Solar Energy Industries Association indicates that the average annual growth of solar installations has been 33% for the past decade. That's enormous, driven by customers who want control of cleaner power. No doubt the next decade will see similar scaling of the residential battery market as these customers again shift away from the monolithic utility product and towards individual energy freedom. Or take it one step further, and we can look at pioneering innovators such as PowerLedger, a company based down in Australia. PowerLedger aims to decentralize the grid by enabling a blockchain platform to allow residents who own solar panels to sell their energy to neighbors, totally bypassing the middleman utility. The company has raised nearly $30 million to pilot what could be a revolutionary way of buying and selling electricity. And maybe that's the future of where electricity is going. A residential homeowner equipped with an array of solar panels and a battery, selling power to a nearby neighbor living in an apartment or to a small business who doesn't own their property but still wants to buy renewable power. Selling those blockchain tokens could finance the installation of the array to begin with. And then let's get really clever and say that the blockchain could track the time and location of the power that's being generated so that the buyer could ensure that the power they're purchasing is occurring at the same time that they're consuming the power needed. Now, I'm not a huge fan of blockchain. There are lots of questions that remain around the technology and its application for business, but the concept is there. Push ownership of electricity down to the customer and give them the power to decide. The energy transition isn't just about the latest technology. It's just as much about how the customer is changing in today's environment. Innovations are happening because the customer is no longer satisfied with the status quo. That new customer has sometimes been referred to as a prosumer, or someone who generates their own power or maybe even sells it on their own behalf. EY, the big global consultancy, goes a bit further and coined the term omnisumer, a word meant to showcase how the energy consumer is becoming more deeply involved in their own generation, purchasing, selling, demand optimization, and energy consumption. For their part, utilities are starting to come around. Old organizational structures around key account managers focused on large energy-consuming accounts, those are being replaced by more nimble teams looking at how to leverage a growing portfolio of technologies in the best way for the right client. And some utilities are leaning into the new business models that are emerging. So far, that's been primarily led by the European companies, such as Engie, Enel, EDF, who've launched energy as a service or renewable-centric businesses adjacent to their core electricity delivery business. But U.S. utilities aren't too far behind. The customer is becoming more sophisticated. Tomorrow's consumer is one that will be much more involved in their energy generation, use, and optimization. They will be balancing EV charging requirements with solar generation and battery support with on-demand signals from the marketplace, and they may even be using blockchain or some other platform to sell and buy directly from peers. Gone are the days of the passive consumer, replaced by EY's omnisumer of tomorrow. I'm Paul Schuster, and this has been your 8 Minutes.